You just got wet lettuce, wet, rotten lettuce, if you can understand the symbolism. So that you have. It's just real talk for real people. We approached the whole Biden administration to find a ceiling price on fossil fuels. We saw it getting a little bit out of hand with Joe Biden and them. The other thing is that you go back to Carter Day and all that. There was $4, $5, and $6 gas. If you go as far as Los Angeles, you find the gas price, and they had no control of the economy because it didn't influence the ceiling price on the fossil fuel. You have to ship that food by diesel. Clothing, automobiles have to be shipped by diesel prices. You got to face those facts so you can see the reality. So it has moved upwardly. So there is the danger of inflation. When it threatens the market, it moves the gas price. And your grocer, then the food is reflective of what you pay the grocer is reflected in the diesel fuel price. And what it takes to move that train, to take those containers with your broccoli and your asparagus and etc. in it, and get that to the grocer is the battle. And Trump has been bad for the economy this time around. He was better. Trump 1 was fairly okay on the economy. Trump 2 is a nightmare. And don't forget your footnotes, beloved brothers and sisters, the political chat room. Please don't forget the fact that he is the one that delivered the COVID to your door. It had to be. There was no inertia, no automatic pilot on the COVID. It had to be delivered in order for us to get that in. And for the melanated people had numbers, they said 50,000, by 50,000 of our people on record as being killed by the COVID in record time. And I said, if it was record time, then we were the target all the time. And I land my plane on Job Corps and these museums and the other dirt that he's done to address the title in the room. It is his return to so-called Jim Crow. But the first Jim Crow was done by his predecessor, Andrew Johnson, who was again he vetoed all the policies that were going to make progress for the black melanated people. So I land my plane on these facts, and we don't want that form of apartheid, whether it comes from Elon Musk or Donald Trump. They're both whistleblowers, and they should be managed as such.
Can we get a room reset? Like, I mean, like in the words of my fucking
that's what I dropped, man. Keep going.
No, sir. Please. We appreciate your contribution, brother. I just was simply asking for a room reset. That's all.
So we're talking about making America great again. Shout out to Jim Crow. So like with these bills and these executive orders, what's going on with deportation? Yeah, it's only been, 6 months? Life is great. Let me go ahead and look up an article real quick and maybe we can have a conversation on that.
Well, Patty, basically we have a basic problem here. At least in a shot, the link of very, very great book. I hope that all of you going to have a look at this book. Its name is Layer Up. It is mentally fixed up.
These F-words don't vote. They just wing them. These rainbow F-words don't vote. They just wing them.
supposed to be meeting with the NATO Secretary General. I'm trying to see if I can find anything right.
So, good afternoon, good morning. It's been extremely entertaining these last couple of days. I've been on the floor laughing. These people are entertaining.
You're just as
Oh man.
Sorry.
Yeah. I do crazy.
Just so you know.
In situations, I get crazy. Y'all showed him more grace than y'all showed me. Y'all cursed me down in 30 seconds. What's going on with that? But I'm gonna say this. Trump is about to make a major announcement tomorrow about the Russia situation. Yeah, I think it's pretty bad. But,
Yeah, it is.
All of it is interconnected. All of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's
We're facing world changing order, in case you guys. So this whole war in UK, Russia, Palestine, whatever, everything that's happening, it's world changing order. So like the U.S. reserve currency the reserve currency has been the U.S. for so fucking long, and as of now, like the elections that we had faced and everything, actually Trump was supposed to be out of chair, but the only thing that saved him was this crypto techno world. So that's why Elon Musk is in there. So actually, it's like this economic war between who's the strongest and who's better, China or the U.S. And in between is all of like these wars that they profit off of. So they're profiting off of the war in Gaza. They're profiting off of the war in Ukraine. The U.S. is gaining money that way. They're profiting off of the protests. It's like these things are done intentionally for us to face the chaos, and it's a rise of divide and conquer between the Arabs and the Muslims. I mean, the Jews and the Arabs. It's a rise in between the black and the white. It's a rise between the Hispanic and whatever. It's like they're creating more racism between us. So this fight that he said he was laughing on the floor, of course it's fine, because like we're all fools because we're giving them the power by acting like this. Like the power is within us and how much you educate yourself. So like I'm just trying to find a group where people know things. Anyways, that's what I have to say.
So, yeah, great. But I just think people are worried about, the biggest issue right now is for me is trying to calm down the situation between the United States and Russia right now. And with the uptick of Russia going all in on Ukraine in the last 4 or 5 days, and this major announcement tomorrow, we know that, here's the thing, in my mind, Trump said he's going to make peace with Putin, right? And he's friend, whatever, that's great. But, here's the bad side. When you got like Putin is Putin. If you got somebody like Trump, who's like an egotistical maniac, whatever, and how he is sometimes. If they kind of bump heads and get into like a real, spat with you, it's not going to be good. So, I'm very interested in what's going to happen tomorrow. And unfortunately like this too, older men are the most dangerous men on earth. They don't have a lot to live for. And when you have world leaders like Trump, so he's knocking at the door, Putin is knocking at the door, fighting too, the Chinese guy too, unfortunately, human history has a history, right, of wars, and that's just the humans.
Do you think that Trump wants a weaker dollar so there's been talks about that to boost exports? Like, I don't know if he's doing this purposely, but he is weakening the dollar.
I think he's definitely.
Well, it goes to BRICS. BRICS started 3.5 years ago, something like that. But when the war really started, Russia, Iran, Brazil, South Africa, there was a big push of gaining momentum to not use the American dollar.
Yeah, but some of those people are warring with each other and they don't agree with each other ideologically, so they don't pose any real threat to America, so that's not a good point.
Brother, you have Tanzania and Namibia and Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, all country in all these countries that I nominated, all of them, they stop the using of dollar. If you want to buy something, you want to sell something, you have to use same currency. Okay?
He's right.
Ash, the biggest one was
This
the
is
Patriot
clear,
Act.
that?
Yeah, but ain't nobody trust BRICS. Like, I think that y'all act like the Chinese yuan is freely convertible. That shit is crazy. Y'all going too far now.
The tariff, you know why the tariff change and everything, like why we're facing increase in goods, gas, inflation. It's like impossible to live alone here. They have to have like 5 people living in one house. That is because the whole world is changing their ties and relationship with the United States as they are uncovering the system, the oppressive system that they do. Like they're profiting off of like people who live in America.
Yeah, but dollar dominance is still
the
gonna be
currency
deeply
between
entrenched.
China and Russia has been changed. So like the trade, the imports, they're not using
Yeah.
U.S. U.S. currency. They're using like another currency. So that's hurting America. That's hurting us. That's hurting.
Currency?
Huh?
Who's using another currency?
So look
Cool,
at
Ash, be more
Russia
specific.
wouldn't be using our currency, right? Because of all the sanctions.
In trades, they do, yes, but as of
I got it in trade, but that's because
Over here,
that's because of we got it when it comes to trade. I'm talking about like if you even think BRICS is a thing, then y'all are fucking mistaken.
I don't even know what that is, to be honest, but I think
That's
that's
the
not
point. That's the point, man. You should listen. They've been trying to tell you. So when BRICS formed, the biggest impact that BRICS had in influence is Saudi Arabia. I'm not the best person to explain how
Saudi
important the petrodollar is.
an
Man, wait till I finish.
I'm just
Wait
saying.
till I finish. Wait till I finish. So the dropping.
I don't need to know what a BRICS is. Any new system, the whole system of Saudi Arabia is a Wahhabis and it's not an Islamic country. They're the ally. Everything is interconnected. So, like, what are you trying to say that the whole BRICS was what's your
Listen, okay, stop. First of all, nothing's gonna happen to the dollar right now. It is weakening, but like
there is no value. There's no gold.
Okay, so regardless of the fact, like commodities are priced in what? U.S. dollars. So trading's gonna be in dollars. Until that changes, right now it's U.S. dollar.
It's actually just it's a currency. They're doing it through digital. They're making you say that. Actually, so don't like you can.
Patty, what's going on, Patty? What is happening on this stage right now?
I don't know. I'm just communicating with you guys, but then someone brought in Saudi Arabia
Listen,
for
you
something
can take
about
it down
BRICS
a
that I
notch
wasn't.
this Sunday morning. There ain't no need for getting loud, Lord.
Habibi, I'm not loud. I'm
Yeah,
just
you're
like,
loud.
But also,
this is all a deflection to an intelligent conversation because you guys are incapable of having one.
You're right.
Sorry.
We are.
well, listen.
We are.
I'm gonna stop talking, but I was listening
You're
in.
right.
I've never.
Hey, you're right. I agree with you. What's your name? I'm Eldad.
I'm not just this white person. You can just say I agree with you. Just
No.
we're all
being
supposed
honest.
to.
Being honest.
There are people fucking dying.
We're not capable of having an intelligent conversation with you.
And then when I okay, yeah.
No, well, I was saying,
I love this group.
when I mentioned I didn't know about BRICS or something, I said that's kind of irrelevant because this system, and someone was like, well, that's what you're not listening. So I'm over-explaining myself, but yeah, okay, I'll stop.
Well, then your takes also have the responsibility of being sensible, and they are not because you don't understand them in context. So what you may be saying flatly is correct in some way, but contextually it is not, which shows that you really don't understand the fullness of what you're talking about.
No, I just don't have the right term.
Well, because you don't understand. When you understand, you can explain it fluently. You don't understand what you're talking about.
So you guys are comfortable attacking anybody
It's
now?
not an attack, dear. It's an observation. I don't know why you all assume that people are attacking you because they're correcting you. You don't understand what you are talking about in context. Is that more plain?
I'm sorry, you're here.
It shouldn't be offensive to you. What you should do is use that as an opportunity to, I don't know, maybe go find out what the fuck you're talking about so you can come back and explain it fluently. Please do not get caught up in my frustration. You have earned this. So because you keep telling us that we don't understand it, it is clear that you are the person who does not understand what you're talking about.
Okay, so now we're just pointing fingers. I have BRICS written right here. I'm looking it up right now. Like, I don't have a problem with learning.
then don't present yourself as an expert on something and tell others that they don't understand when you are obviously the person who doesn't get it.
But what? Okay, I hear you. But what wasn't? And what was it? Just and then we can move on. I can shut up. What was it where I said I had? What was the point that I had said that you guys don't understand? That's the part I want to know.
You just said we're incapable of having an intelligent conversation with you. So I don't know, what does that mean to you?
No, I was saying, well, first of all, I'm not putting anyone down. Someone said something about BRICS starting in Saudi Arabia, and I asked what the intention was. And I was like, well, Saudi Arabia, to be
So if I tell you that we're unable of having intelligent conversation with you, that's not putting you down.
Okay, well, I apologize for saying that. I was just talking about the person who was saying something about Saudi Arabia and saying that people have a
It just so happens that you were talking to the person on the stage who probably understands more than the rest of us. That's the irony in this. She understands more than most of us on the stage do about what we're talking about.
That's probably true. I wasn't talking to.
No, there's no probably. There's no probably. She does. So that's what I'm saying. It would behoove you to listen. She was trying to share with you, but you then insulted her, whether you admit that or not. You insulted everyone.
I will admit that I insulted the individual that talked about Saudi Arabia. That's what I was talking about. I probably cut her off when she talked about this. I don't understand, but whoever was speaking, I don't see her name here. I definitely apologize because I'm here to actually just communicate, collaborate, and to listen and learn, so we can all do that with each other. That's my philosophy, and that's who I am. So I'm not gonna back down and just, but anyways, that's what I wanted to point out.
Go ahead, Nathan. Talk about
all right, so what I was saying, is this, right? So BRICS was started, and through that influence, Saudi Arabia dropped the petrodollar, right? And there was a president, I forgot who he was, probably decades ago, and he stated how important, I was reading up on it, watching documentaries, whatever, right? But he was saying how important the petrodollar was to the United States. And somebody more, can explain it better than I can, how important that is for the United States. And actually, since I follow the dollar almost every other 2 days, it is getting weaker, because I do travel to Mexico, United States a lot. So I think it was like at $20, around 20 or 19. It's at 18 right now. I checked yesterday. And I was like, what the fuck? It is dropping. So, I mean, who knows? But, yeah, that's all I was saying about it. That I do think that any type of challenger is going to, no matter who the president is, right? When you have an organization like BRICS, it's going to get the attention of the United States, regardless of whoever president, and they're going to see it as a threat. And if you try to affect the value of the American dollar, right, they will see it as an extreme threat. We've seen countries like Argentina, Venezuela, those type of countries like that, their dollar dropped in value, right? And it pretty much that can pretty much kill a country. So yeah, I mean, I think that Trump did talk about it before he was elected and addressed BRICS specifically. And I think that he said he's going to eliminate it and stop it before this was like 8 months before the election.
I have a question, Nathan. Who told you that Saudi Arabia dropped the petrodollar? Was that you?
I think it was reported a few years ago. Now that they followed through with it.
Why they still price oil in USD?
Well, I mean, it was in the news that they was going to drop it. Now, what percentage of it, and they're going to drop it completely? I didn't check up on it recently. That was about the last time I heard about it was when it was reported.
Yeah, they haven't dropped it.
But do you see that he was going to drop it?
Do you see on TV when they talk about how many US dollars per barrel?
Let me look it up.
There's been fake news about it, Patty, but we don't. Who knows the difference between fake and YouTubers?
I think maybe countries will say things like, "Oh, I'm going to do something," and they don't follow through.
And they don't. All these countries older than the U.S. supposed to be more savvy, but who still has the world currency? Who still holds it?
All right, I have a question if you guys don't mind.
Okay, go ahead. I wasn't talking.
Oh no, I didn't mean.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Girl, okay, I was just like, okay, so what does that mean in the? Because I'm curious. For the U.S., what does that mean if another country is saying that we're dropping? What is that? What is it? Lowering the prices on the oils.
I mean, when you process that slowly, now you said BRICS, and this is Brazil, Russia, India, China, right? And then like the whole South America is in there. You got
like
four nations and a whole continent. Y'all processing that? 4 nations and a whole continent. And then Donald Trump, we're gonna break up stuff. Hey, you don't have no influence to like that. See what it is, they get, when people get power, when they get bombs and guns in their hands, I noticed the white boys on the playground, and you get somebody pissed, they would behave differently when they had guns. When they had a big mob with them, they would behave a little different. They would flex when they had the boys with them, and then humble themselves when they were outnumbered, or if it was a fair fight now, just a fair fight. Just think about that. You got Brazil, Russia, countries, right? India, China. Think about that. And then old South America.
Okay, she asked a question, and it ain't had nothing to do with BRICS. It had 100% to do with what would happen if you said something about what would happen if Saudi Arabia dropped the petrodollar, right?
Yeah, I guess the countries that you guys were talking about, like you just said, like, I think they just dropped the prices on oil. So I was like, okay, what does that mean in relationship to the U.S.? Like, how does that affect the two countries?
Basically,
the quality of oil is when you deal with Iran and Saudi Arabia, it has a quality of petroleum. The main line goes from Iran to China, and Saudi Arabia has
Let's
a
talk
lot
about
of
the global market. It's going to affect the global market. We can just talk about price at this moment, brother.
I think you know, but at this point I won't be long, but I will be strong. Now, Saudi Arabian oil is the thing that way. There's a lot of confidence because of the politics of Saudi Arabia and the quality of the petroleum oil that comes out of the ground. That's what makes them rich and flex and the Arabs and etc. But on that strength, America uses that oil to keep a certain balance in the trade market, etc. When the price per barrel is what the controversy has been about for years and years, all of my adult life. So to trade with them, to have any form of embargo or something to affect that oil will affect your price at the grocery counter. It will affect your price at the gas and diesel pump. Those are the things that they're squabbling over most of the time. So to keep them as a box, in other words, that there were certain political moves that were made between Saudi and America, and then the execution of the journalist that time. And again, Donald Trump was in office for that one. So anything that we do or they do towards each other is going to affect the market, what you're spending per gallon, and what you're spending for milk, eggs, the very basic staple food market in your house. So that market will be affected by the political relationship between America and Saudi Arabia. And I'll have my plan on the facts as you know them to be.
can I answer this question?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I
and go on mute.
It won't take long. Specifically, I'm, if that's the name that, the relation largely comes down to the cost of producing oil in the United States. If it is reduced to such a degree to where it becomes unsustainable to produce oil in the United States, that causes a problem with domestic production of oil in the United States. Right, so, which is a strategic commodity for the United States. other countries that have a larger portion of the oil market can do that. I'm not going to say unilaterally, but without the United States. And they have done this at different times to make it less sustainable for domestic U.S. production. This was different. The math changed a little bit with the innovation of fracking, which reduced the cost of producing oil in the U.S. From $60 to about $40. I don't know. It's not working. Anyway, but the point is, it reduced it quite significantly by almost about a third.
That wasn't her question.
And so,
Dark, I'm going to repeat her question. She said if Saudi Arabia dropped the petrodollar, like, what would happen? She wants to know what would happen.
oh, if she dropped the petrodollar,
Right, because
they would lose significant degrees of market access and probably weapons access,
So what
which
would
they
happen
need.
globally? Like make it make sense, because we were talking about the U.S. dollar, right? And the demand for the U.S. dollar, why there's a demand. But she was saying, and someone else brought up, we got rid of the petrodollar, which is not true. They're still trading oil in USD. So the thing is, she asked, well, how would that affect, like, if they did drop the petrodollar?
They cannot. Here is the problem though. They cannot drop because the U.S. dollar controls the market. Even the Saudis.
Right, 100%.
They will not try to do that. Then they will lose.
And if they did that, who would they shift over to? China? Like, you know what I'm saying? That would be the only other geopolitical shift they'd be able to go to. They'd have to go to a yuan-based price. And the problem with yuan-based pricing is how fucking China fluctuates their money. So like,
China, even if you guys see how China cannot come in this market to try to fight American dollar. They don't have that much. Yeah, they have this, but they will not dominate U.S. dollar.
Can I have the mic 1 minute, please? I need just to explain you something that
after you starting to give him my nerves. Go ahead.
Hey, can I go after him?
Go ahead after him, Michi. Go Michi, because I don't think America's done.
Okay. Yeah, so my take on it is basically what would happen globally, like just the global economy. First of all, the demand for U.S. dollars would go down. The only reason why there are, a lot of countries requiring U.S. dollars is because of the fact that, global energy commodities are, priced in U.S. dollars. That's not the only reason, but just for this, because there are a whole lot of financial transactions that are denominated in U.S. dollars that have nothing to do with, petroleum products. But for the sake of this, if that's no longer the case, then the demand of the U.S. dollars will reduce. We know that, in economics, whenever the demand for something reduces, then the price of that thing will also reduce. So if these multinationals and governments no longer need as many dollars as they used to in order to settle transactions in like global trade, then they wouldn't keep as many dollars like in their treasury. Countries would reduce their holdings of dollar foreign reserves, which would, then reduce again, not just the price of the dollar, but countries' dependence on the dollar and the U.S.'s influence in those countries. The most that, and I agree that I really think that's unlikely. So I agree with Patty, and I think it was somebody else, I think it was American, that said that it's not going to happen. As Patty said, there's still quoting barrels in terms of dollars. I don't think that that's going to stop. The most that they can do is what BRICS is trying to do with any other commodity. So in that case, oil is not necessarily special. So for the BRICS members, what they're trying to say is, hey, when we are trading amongst each other, then let's use our own currency. When we're, when a BRICS country is trading directly with the BRICS country, they're trying to eliminate that trade being done in dollars. So if Saudi Arabia is selling China oil, then they're proposing, okay, let's quote those barrels of oil in yuan when we're selling to China. Let's quote it in rubles when we're selling to, Russia, something like that. I hope that answers your question.
I normally let's do a tiny
definitely
reading
did. It was
room to
very
show
clear.
Sam how much of
Wow.
the fine is.
Thanks.
The other thing is this: BRICS is not something to be worried about. If folks actually read the BRICS treaty, there is nothing in there that actually enhances the countries that belong to the alliance at all. Nathan, who thinks otherwise, is incapable of finding me where in the treaty it actually enhances the nations within the alliance itself. If you actually look at the language of the alliance itself, there is nothing that actually creates a shared trade bloc, for example, such as the EU. There is nothing that establishes a shared defensive framework or paradigm between these countries. Essentially, all of the deals that happen within these BRICS nations is bilateral. By that I mean between only one country and one other country, right? Nathan likes to suggest China and Dave. Now, the only reason why someone would suggest that China would command the BRICS is if they have zero understanding of India's actual relationship with China as it is on the ground. Chinese animus within India is still alive and well, has been alive and well. I've seen this personally with my own government meetings, but you don't even have to do that. You just have to look, for example, at the Eastern Ladakh region, where you have Indian and Chinese soldiers literally coming to fisticuffs. Right? They're building competing dams on the same river. Why would these actions happen amongst two countries which are ostensibly allies? Why would India enter into, for example, the Quad defensive framework, which directly challenged China's claim to sovereignty in the Pacific Ocean, while India doesn't have any sort of defensive framework or shared paradigm with China at all, and never has. If you further look at the BRICS, basically one half of the BRICS has a significant geopolitical difference from the other half of the BRICS, right? Are we going to see Iran and Saudi Arabia agree on a shared currency? Are we going to see Turkey and Greece agree on a shared currency? Are we going to see, I already said India and China. I mean, like, these things, are we going to see Egypt and Ethiopia agree on a shared currency? If you think that they will, I would recommend looking up the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam and how they've gone through about 12 years of failed negotiations on equitable uses of the Nile. The BRICS is nothing but a surface level hedge, and if you actually look at the treaty itself, is vaporware.
Yeah, but they are trying to come up with their own digital currency. China.
They've been doing currency every other year. Like, it's never gonna happen.
Dude, so, okay, go ahead. You got it.
No, I was just gonna say, like, they claim that they're coming out with a currency every one
I
and a
got it,
half
but
years.
China is currently working on Project Enbridge, right? Have you heard about that?
Again,
Right now, they're testing it. I mean, regardless of the fact, they're testing it right now. Like UAE, Saudi Arabia, and China, they're doing a cross-border digital currency, so they're doing their settlements.
No. Can I inject? UAE will not. UAE the part of. They have a agreement with U.S. Turkey is part of alliance of NATO. They the part of U.S. So it will be so difficult. I would just say this. I think maybe after some time of generation to come, I don't know what we're talking right now, 20 years or 30 years we're talking about, that China will be able to push through.
No, you may not. You may not. No.
Or Russia will push through. There will be no any time.
All these people are ancient peoples.
In
They
the
are
20,
married to thousands of
in the
years.
30,
the Edomites and the Israelites
the
countries
will come to try to say that they want to go against U.S. dollar or U.S.
Fucking shine it
power
up.
in the
Pick it up and
region.
look at it.
That
There's no
anyone
fucking
that think about
Let
that,
someone else
then
talk, you
you
fucking coward. The fuck is wrong?
totally
Let's
100%,
all make
maybe
a
you don't
fucking point.
understand.
You fucking absolute coward.
That
You
it
guys
will not
fucking try to talk over
happen.
someone like that. We
Even
don't are
Turkey
fucking afraid of what they're gonna fucking say.
and Saudi and UAE, even their richness, it came through US dollar. There can be no way at any point, at any time. If we talking 100 years from now, I can buy with you guys. But we talking about 20, 30, please. That don't make no sense.
Gaddafi tried, and Saddam Hussein tried. Everybody tried to overthrow the dollar. It's not gonna happen.
And what happened to them? They got killed. So here is the point. They cannot try. Saudi cannot. Saudi, the U.S. is sitting right. The U.S. is protecting Saudi. UAE is being protected by the U.S. Turkey is also being protected by the U.S. Where are we going? At any point, at any time, at anywhere. So U.S. dollar always, and okay, let's just say for example, if let's go to auction, right? If whoever bid more money, U.S. dollar bid more than the rest of these countries, right? U.S. dollar is very secure. U.S. dollar have a power behind it. Nothing cannot. So unless you got are we talking about 50 years from now? Okay. But after that, then maybe Turkey, if Turkey want to go to China or go to Russia, I don't know, Turkey, there's no way that Turkey will leave NATO. There's no way UAE will try to go anywhere. What other country? Saudi, what is that? Saudi Arabia, there's no way. They could reach out, even their oil. U.S. have more oil actually, if you guys seen that, but U.S. don't want to use their oil because they're bidding outside. So that point that these people are going, or the world order will be changed at any time soon, is not changing.
Again, I think, real quick, Derek, I think we should just be cautious before we say, something is never going to happen or something is impossible. I do think that it's probably more reasonable to say that just like, geopolitically, we're moving to an era where there's not going to be just one undisputed superpower. We're going to have kind of like multipolarity where we have heavyweights, one heavyweight in each region. That might be the way that it is going to be with the dollar as well. Again, I don't see the dollar just disappearing as the world's reserve currency because there are a lot of transactions that go between two countries that have nothing to do with BRICS, and there has to be a third-party currency that both of those counterparts in those transactions, are comfortable dealing with. I think there are a whole lot of geopolitical issues, as I don't know who was speaking for. I think it was Dark that was saying that that would be a challenge to BRICS. We can just acknowledge that the enemy of your enemy isn't always your friend. All of these people are coalescing just on the premise that they don't like the U.S. That doesn't necessarily mean that they do like one another. And like those border skirmishes that he was talking about, even just the quest for dominance in Asia. India is a growing economy. They're not trying to step aside and just default to China. Russia, they have their own pride, their own ego. Putin is just really kind of leaning on China now because he needs to, because, he's in a war that is unpopular. He has a whole lot of heavyweights that are opposing him. That doesn't necessarily mean that, he's fine, with China being the big dog on campus, in BRICS as it is. If they drop the currency, they're still going to be a dominant force. We know that China is going to be expected to be that dominant force, like, financially, as far as how the currency, would go. I'm not sure everybody wants to, cede their sovereignty, so to speak, to China, with these issues. So there are internal challenges. I won't say that, something is impossible. The BRICS bloc can definitely challenge the U.S. dollar. Will they be able to eliminate the U.S. dollar? I don't think so. Another thing that people have to think about, like I was mentioning earlier, are like financial transactions that have nothing to do with commodities or anything else. Then also, people sometimes simplify the value of the U.S. dollar by saying, "Oh, it's our military. It's because we have 100 and however many bases in these countries, and we're pretty much forcing them." It's not as simple as just kind of boiling it down to, neo-imperialism. When people are choosing the currencies that they maintain their foreign reserves in, they're looking at how stable those countries are. They're looking at the rule of law in those countries. They're looking at the property rights laws and stuff that are enforced. The general transparency that they perceive those respective governments to operate with. That's when they're comfortable. That's when they decide which currencies that they're comfortable, keeping their foreign reserves in. That's not always the case with China. People can't really tell, what's going to happen with China as far as even internally, how stable their society is, the fact that they manipulate their currency so much and they don't really let it flow freely in the market. These are other factors that people use, in order to determine where their savings are going to lie in. And these are also challenges that I would say are presented against any BRICS currencies potential of just completely overtaking the dollar.
And BG, you made great points, and let me just say this right. I'm not saying it was created. You have to understand why a thing was created first to understand what the objective is, whether it is what's on paper. It was created because there are sanctions on Russia, and other nations looked at it like, wait a second, if they can do this, because other nations looked at it as like a local conflict from Ukraine and Russia. That's like, Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union, so they looked like, okay, that's a local type of issue. And look how many sanctions were put on them, right? That was the spark of it. Everything is not going to be plain written out on paper. Their objective, that's not even a wise thing to do. But we do know that the number 2 and 3 most powerful country in the world, the United States being one, is Russia and China, right? So, I don't think that it's a new thing, right? And, it's hard to predict what the future is going to be. But to say, like, I think it's a little bit of ego, saying, oh, this can never happen. Well, the biggest dog, and, when you have that type of ego, when you think you're invincible, right? And then one day you fall and hit your face, you're going to wonder what happened. When the signs were on the ball. That's all I'm saying about it.
Firstly, we need to look at a little bit of history here. The suggestion that BRICS was created as a result of the sanctions in Russia is patently false. BRICS was created in 2006 as an alternative to U.S.-led global order. Major sanctions against Russia didn't happen until 2014. 12 years. No. Sorry, I can't do math. What's that? 8 years.
8 years.
The point is,
Yeah. 8 years.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't have
Because
the number.
of like the annexation of Crimea.
Yeah, my wife is the math one in the family here. The point is that BRICS was not created because of sanctions against Russia. That is not true. There is nothing in history that actually supports that. I recommend folks look at the history and also read the BRICS Treaty to understand this a bit better. Amici actually had a lot of great points. Now, I will say this. If there was ever a greater argument for why many countries should abandon the U.S., Trump is doing that work for Russia and China right now far better than either of them could. Upending global trade, reducing confidence in the dollar, creating greater instability here at home, defending pedophiles. Well, maybe that's not one reason. I just felt like I should continue to liken Trump with defending pedophiles here, because that's what he's doing. But the point is that Trump is actually making the best argument for why countries should abandon the dollar now. Whether or not they will do that, I would still agree, of course, with the Meiji that at the moment it's still quite unlikely. But Trump is doing his best, it seems, to actually do that. Again, far better than China or Russia could have ever done, either together or separately. No kind of arguments from the pedophile defenders here. Okay, nice.
I actually want to say something. I agree. I've been reading about it too. Like, and Amici was saying something how, or I don't know who stepped in. Someone said something that it's actually just used for surface. Like, it's not an actual. Like, there are deeper things to it. And I don't know if this is going off topic, but this is just my curiosity. But as if now there's a canal being built. It's called Ben Gurion Canal. That's on the Sinaites of, I think it's on the southern part of Egypt, and it's like connected to Israel. And that's where the Suez Canal, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, which is where the import comes from China or from Yemen and towards the U.S. And that's where the channel of like transport and trade routes are, I think. And I think that because that's changing, and they're using all these different treaties. But I don't know if someone knows anything of this or if you could just disregard it. But I don't know. That's what I wanted to say.
Yes or no? Just give me yes or no.
It's pretty moderate. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Like that's not just money. It's like
That is not money. Just answer the question.
I don't think.
You people are dumb.
Okay, fine, bro.
How is legalizing recreational marijuana? How is legalizing recreational? Hold on, world. How was legalizing recreational marijuana 5, 6, 7 years ago not progressive? Please explain that to me.
Because about 10 other states had done so at the time.
So you think progressive just means doing something first? Oh my God.
Not necessarily.
Oh my God.
Not necessarily, but I think when like a precedent has been set for like 10, like damn near 15 years in like places like Colorado and Los Angeles, it doesn't. Yeah,
Wait,
okay.
Los Angeles. I said states.
Yeah, I said moderately progressive. Yeah, I said.
No, I said states. What does Los Angeles have to do with it?
I said what you said?
I said states. Los Angeles is not a state.
My bad.
Los Angeles cannot legalize. Los Angeles cannot legalize recreational marijuana.
You're getting bogged down in details. That's what you do.
This is literally detailed. Let's continue. How about free tuition?
I'm talking about like the precedent that was set in other places before. As like you look at that and say, okay, well like that city didn't burn.
How about